Count down on me?
Oh.
Three, two, one.
1.
Action. What's going on, guys? We are finally back with Figuring Out with myself, David.
And Victoria.
It has been a very long time since we did a podcast last. We have been literally, as the show goes, figuring it out because it has been, I think it's been, what, a year?
Yeah.
It's been literally a year since we did our last podcast.
So we ended podcast number 11. And Arlo was like a few weeks old.
Yeah, and we're not the type of people that like to start projects and not finish them. That's just not something that we like to do. And so this was definitely something that I think kind of always lingered in the back of our mind of like, fuck, we kind of started this and didn't finish it. So we're glad to be back. This episode's going to be probably not that long. We're literally just going to jump into like, okay, what did a year ago look like then? And what does a year look like now? Like, since we've done our last podcast, and then talk a little about the stuff that's going on in our lives, what we've learned a little bit about. And then from here on out, then we'll jump into more of the lessons inside of things that we've actually learned from each one. So I would just say let's just give them a rundown on like what's been going on in our life.
Well, before we do that, I want to preface it where this podcast is literally just us figuring things out.
That's a good idea. We definitely need to preface it for
These
sure.
are people that are not going to listen to episodes like 1, 2, 3, whatever. If you want to, go right ahead. We would encourage it. And we're just going to give like a brief explanation of like the gap year that we took basically.
Yeah.
But I would say that throughout the future podcasts that we have coming up, there's going to be a lot of like extra detail, adding to our general, comeback episode, I guess.
Yeah. And this would be a little bit more general. So do you want me to give the preface? You want to do it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Cool. So, I mean, basically, and it's crazy how much maturity we've gained, just in the last year. I would say that this has been our craziest year in terms of excelling. But we always like to preface it. We're not fucking, multi-hundred millionaires, and we're not fucking billionaires. And so we're not going to have the preface. And I know everyone says like, oh, the worst thing in the world is, people talking into a podcast mic because they act like they know everything. I get that. We're one of those people that we don't know everything. We're not going to give you sales tactics on how to close 1 million fucking deals and this and that. That's not what we do. But with the life that we've built so far, the purchases we made and the things that we've been able to build, we just want to be a little bit more relatable to people that might be in their mid-20s and they're just like legit trying to figure it out. And so we're just kind of going through the leaps forward that we've made and the leaps backward that we made and kind of just to make people feel normal that like, yeah, even though from the outside in, it looks like people, especially in our age group, look like they're killing it. But, there are road bumps in the meantime. And I think that there's just not enough about that. So we're just going to get into more of the lessons and things that we've learned along the way up until the ripe age of 27, which in reality is not very much. Well, I'm 26. We're both 26, but I'm almost 27. We've just had I would say a 10x amount of experience that most people have had at this age. We're not Mark Zuckerberg, but I would say we've had a good amount of experience at 26. So
yeah, I think the biggest thing, like you said, is we want to be relatable.
Definitely.
We find ourselves listening to podcasts of people we want to aspire to be like, and we know that there's like a void in this space of people who can kind of be at the same level of growth or wanting to grow. That
I'm sorry, I'm like taking my gum out trying to find somewhere to put this fucking piece of gum at because I don't want to chew it anymore. And she's like watching me.
We're like in junior high now, or what?
I missed the basket.
So just to be relatable is basically the biggest thing, and and like David said, is just to reiterate the fact that we're all human too. Like we are still growing, we're still figuring it out. But by any means, we are not professionals, so please do not take everything that we say to complete heart.
Anything that we say, we are not financial planners. We're not medical doctors. Anything we say is hearsay. And in any conspiracy theories, they are conspiracy and they are not true.
By you listening, you are not holding us liable or responsible for anything that we may promote, speak about, or anything. These are just our personal opinions on our lives that we are figuring out.
I'm going to take my tinfoil hat off now, Cool. So let's jump into it. So you want to just give a rundown on there's going to be things that come up along the way as we get into this episode of oh shit, I forgot about this and I forgot about that. I mean, I would say let's just go over the biggest things and jump into like what you think is the biggest things that we've had, the biggest things that we've had happen to us over the last year.
Yeah. So like just event wise.
Yeah. Just chronological order and just go through it.
Okay. So we ended the last podcast. Arlo was just born basically. So literally a year ago. That was January, February, March. were kind of planning months.
Well, February and March, we were like legit balls deep in the new build for our
Yeah.
new facility that this beautiful podcast is hosted at. And so
Right.
that was for our Saviors location here in South Oxnard. And so we legit were like, looking back at the vlogs that we were doing and stuff, I mean, we were like balls deep in that project. Like shit was happening, things were coming up, road bumps were happening. Like we were like balls deep February, March, April.
Yeah. And then
and I was balls deep in something else.
David. Okay, so like April, May, June, we were still building out Saviors.
Definitely.
I think at the same time we were building out Saviors, we were actually getting housework done. Weren't we getting housework done? Or
no, we weren't. Mike did housework before that, so it was not because
Mike
was working. Mike was working on the gym here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we were still working on Saviors and also trying to get pregnant again.
Like I said, we were balls deep, dog. You know what I'm saying?
So that ended up working out. July, we found out we were pregnant again.
Yep.
Arlo was literally like 6 months old. So we announced that 4th of July weekend to our family. And then end of July, Saviors opened up.
Yeah, that was crazy. I would say that. I mean, I know that we're gonna have. I wouldn't say every time that you're in busy times, you're like, this is the busiest I've ever been. Blah 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 blah. You know, and you think, everyone feels that way. But that month was abnormally insane because. Before when we had to open a facility, I don't know if this is ever going to happen again. I'm sure it will happen again at some point. But that was moving a facility. So we were trying to juggle making sure that we close that facility out before end of our lease, get everything, all the loose ends tied up, and then trying to get our new facility open and get all of our permits passed, get all of our inspections passed, stay within budget, not fucking go into, in debt and things like that. So it was, it was a whirlwind. I mean, I would say that was probably the craziest, that we've ever been in terms of just what we had to get done to do that project.
Yeah. And like I said, we had a 6-month-old and I was literally like 4 weeks pregnant because I found out super early again. So it was like trying not to stress out because I was so fresh pregnant.
Yeah, I mean, that was just absurd, it was crazy. So so February, March, April, we were building the gym. June, July, we were finalizing the Saviors location. And then obviously we had the 6-month-old and Arlo, we got so lucky with him. He really was, he still is, just an awesome kid. Yeah. So he definitely made our lives a little bit easier because of the fact that he was such a happy kid. He wasn't a crying type of kid. So we got pretty lucky. And then the end of July and then August we opened up and it was fucking like ground running for Saviors. And we have, so far put on hundreds and hundreds of new members and it's been crazy the last 6 months.
Yeah. So then September, October, we hit our 5th anniversary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, our 5-year anniversary in business, which is it's just crazy to even think because that's a huge mark for any business.
Right. And then obviously November, December, holiday season. So that was a lot of different like dynamics going on, especially having Arlo's first time for holidays, first time for us having holidays as a family, and then with the new gym. And then
yeah, especially because like in the gym business, the holidays usually, like I wouldn't say abnormally, but we just know ahead of time that it slows down. Yeah. But given that we opened up into the holidays, like I would say that the hype was still there, so it definitely was busier than normal in the holiday season, right. Which is probably gonna happen again this year.
Well,
so
yeah, because come around January 5th, we toured a new facility.
Yes, so that was. I'm sure we're probably skipping a lot of parts here.
We are. These are just like main timeline events.
Yeah. So yeah, we did. So that was just an insane story. I mean, I think, and this is something that I'm sure we'll dive into with faith and just things like that. But as now I understand, I was telling Victoria this, I also told my mom this, is that I feel like the more that you get into business and the longer that you get, and I would say like, I don't like to say that we're quote unquote successful because we're like not even day one yet. Like we're fucking barely starting, and I mean, we're probably 15, 20, 30 locations in and I'm still going to feel like we're barely starting. But, at the moment, I feel like, you take the time, like take, an hour to look back and be like, holy shit, we have, come from a little 4,000 square foot facility when we were both 19 and no members to where we are now. The more that you continue to move forward, the more it feels like God is in control. And it feels like he just puts things in front of you. It's crazy to even think about that.
That's such a good topic we're going to have to talk about.
Yeah,
not right now, but
because I'm not, I was not a very I'm not a huge religious person, but I would definitely say like faith has become stronger in the last year or two, just with like kids, the more life experience you have, and just like it's just impossible to ignore connections that happen. Like it's impossible. It's just you can't yeah. So back to what you were saying about the new location because I just dove on a tangent.
Yeah. Like I said, I definitely believe we're gonna dive deeper into each of these topics, and more of these events as the other topics come to relate to it. So January we toured the facility. February, is approaching the time where now I'm like 9 months pregnant, about getting ready to have a baby. Due date was in March. Ended up having Atlas end of February. And what else?
Well, I think January and February legit felt like one big blob of days.
It did.
Because we didn't. Now I know Victoria said we toured the facility at the beginning of February. I mean, the beginning of January.
Well, yeah.
But no, I'm saying you did. But the thing is that we didn't. It happened in 2 days. Like we had opened Saviors, the Oxnard location, thinking that we weren't going to have another location.
For at least 2 years.
Yeah, for like at least 2 or 3 years, we were like, okay, because Victoria and I we're not very debt heavy people. We don't like big loans. We don't like financing huge purchases. And so there are a lot of people, like as Victoria's mentor would call it, one of my clients, Amelie, she calls it OPM, other people's money. It's a huge strategy that a lot of people use, which is debt financing. We don't like that. So we're like, let's save up a bunch of money like we did with Saviors. That way we can pay almost everything ourselves out of our own pockets. And, when a location comes up and any of the neighboring cities will take a look at it. Yeah. And this opportunity came up. I mean, literally, it was like one day we called, went to go look at it the next day just for shits and giggles, put a fucking super crazy offer in, and we got accepted.
Yeah.
And now it wasn't as easy as that. Like in terms, like it was a preliminary acceptance, and we had to go back and forth for 2 months. But it was like we went from not thinking we were gonna have a second facility for like 2 or 3 years to like it was like 2 days in, we were like, holy fuck, we're going to open a second facility.
Yeah.
And that like kicked us into overdrive.
Well, yeah, because I mean, again, if you really think about it, like, okay, we weren't planning to open a second location, like David said, for another 2 to 3 years. And part of it was because we had this plan, right? Or we thought we had this plan.
Yeah, we thought.
The plan was to get pregnant, have 2 under 2, and then we would utilize the first 2 years of both of the boys, 2/3 years of the boys growing up, so that they were already 2 or 3 years old, and then by that time we would be ready to have a second location. But like David said, God just said, here you go, run with it, and here we are now.
Well, that's another podcast that we'll get into is opportunities.
Right.
And I think that, this is something that, I'll reference Andy as much as I can until it gets annoying. But Andy has been like the most impactful person, Andy Frisella, in my life, because besides obviously like my family. But I'm saying about outside of that. Just because he's never seen me wrong. Everything I've ever done from him has turned out correct. But in one of our calls that we had with him, he said you only get like 2 to 5 opportunities ever in your life that fall in your lap that like really are like a pivoting point in your life. And then also opening a second location, every business owner can agree that a second location, not 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or even 1, the second location is the hardest thing you're ever going to do. So I think that because that opportunity legit fell in our lap at the right time to be our second location, that was one of those 2 to 5 opportunities that we legit were like, we if we do not take this is going to be one of those the regrets that we're going to have for the rest of our life for not taking this opportunity. Yeah. And so we can dive into that into another episode, but we had to take that opportunity. It was too good. And then that automatically was like, holy shit, Victoria, like we need to promote Larissa to a general manager. We have to get another staff member, a full-time staff member hired. And then we're probably going to hire a third one pretty soon here. Mm-hmm. It was like, oh shit, we need to be prepared and not behind. So that's kind of like kicked us into overdrive. So we were like legit, January was like interviewing, hiring, training. And then legit, I've been up plenty of times until 11, 12 o'clock at night, like I was legit 2 nights ago, trying to get bids done, trying to get invoices done, trying to get equipment ordered, trying to get plans settled. Like just, it legit was like what I would normally take 6 months to do was like, I have to get this done in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So it was it was a crazy January, February. And then that doesn't take away from the fact that you were freaking 8.5 months pregnant and Arlo is still waking us up at night. So we're like still trying to get up and feed him at night. And she's like, I could hear Victoria breathing when she's sleeping, like,
Even my mom said, she was like, yeah, I felt bad because there were some times where you were sitting on the couch and I literally heard you breathing. And I was like, that's embarrassing.
It's true. Compared to Arlo, I definitely felt like this time with Atlas, I'm like, Jesus Christ, she's fucking loud when she sleeps. Like, I fucking felt like, God damn.
Yeah, so at the end of February, we ended up having Atlas and bringing him into our lovely life. And then here we are, mid March, and I feel like I'm saying all of this stuff so nonchalantly, like oh, it's just fine. We're just this has happened and this has happened. When really, it's like I said, it goes a lot deeper than everything. Um, but yeah, so now it's like continuing to plan and like start the build out process for the new gym, and also waking up 2 to 3 times in the middle of the night, feeding a newborn. And sometimes now Arlo's going through, I think, growing pains now that he's a little over 1. So now we're doing life as parents and as owners and as a couple.
Yeah,
And
so literally it's like working all day.
yeah,
Victoria's taking care of the kids. She's doing her stuff. I am working all day trying to get the new business or the new location open and here. And still trying to keep up with like things like this that we've been kind of, lagging on.
yeah,
And then it's still like you waking up to feed Alice. Well, it's kind of impossible not for me to wake up when he's right there. But then when he wakes up, then Arlo wakes up. So then I have to feed Arlo. So like I'm in one room feeding him. She's in this room feeding him. And it's like both like at 3:30, like 3 in the morning. Well, like midnight at first and then 3 in the morning. Like this is our life right now.
Yeah.
It's just absurd,
yeah.
and still trying to train, still being on a meal plan, still being on a cut. Oh, that's a big milestone. I forgot getting on testosterone in September. That was a big one.
Yeah.
I think people underplay, I think people are just afraid to talk about it. But getting on that was a life-changing experience as well. So it has been, it's been a crazy year for sure.
Yeah. So, anyways, I think that's kind of just where we've been, but we really wanted to bring the podcast back. One, I don't want to say that it'll hold us accountable, but we really want to bring you guys like into like the original goal was bring you guys into a little like snippet of our lives and just show you guys that hey, we're just figuring things out. You're probably not going through life trying to figure things out alone, I guess, or like you're not the only one going through things. We're just relatable humans, and yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the whole point of trying to get out of this is, like we get a lot of people that come in here and like, congrats on this, congrats on that, congrats. But like, congrats is like the end, there's a lot of things you have to struggle and get through to get to that point. So, I think we just wanted to like get a little bit into like, I don't want to say the nitty gritty, but even some of the things that you and I have gone through, like obviously it hasn't been insane, but just the things as a family, as us, as business owners, as employees.
Yeah, and things that we're going to continue to do, decisions that we're going to continue to make to be able to get to the goals and lifestyle that you want, and it's going to take a lot of different sacrifices and a lot of different life experiences. But I think at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of people our age can really like learn, or if not even just learn, just like be able to see like, hey, it's not just this beautiful gym on the outside. Like it goes deep.
Yeah, no, definitely. 100%. Yep. Cool. Well, I don't know if there's anything else you want to touch on. I mean, we didn't really want to get too deep into this episode, so it was pretty chill. No. Just like as a welcome back, we appreciate you guys, and anyone that's going to continue to watch, we appreciate you guys. We might only get 2 views on this, but it doesn't really matter to us. I think it's also cool because it's kind of like something that you and I can look back on, just like how we just look back on our old vlogs and our old podcasts, and we're like,
yes, highly recommend.
Oh my god!
If you guys have time, if you are just listening, go on to YouTube. It is Following the Figs. That's the channel. Our podcast is Figuring It Out, but on the YouTube channel there is vlogs that we have done, and literally the last one that we did some of the last ones that we did, it feels like we're reliving 2024 again. But I would highly recommend going back, listening or watching those, so you don't miss out.
Yeah, I think that's the craziest thing is going back and listening, like watching those, and I'm like, we are living that year again.
Yeah.
Like this is fucking absurd.
It's like same process.
Yeah, literally exact same. It literally is copy and paste. Like literally newborn, new gym, same struggles, that type of thing. So cool, guys. Well, we appreciate you guys listening. If you listen to the entire 20 minutes, we try to keep these short, as you will see in the future. Unless we have people on that we do want to interview, we do want to do some of those.
Yeah.
Most of our interviews are going to be I would say sub 40 minutes. So I know most podcasts now are like, dude, most podcasts are starting to move into like the 2-hour range now. We're probably going to be under an hour on most of our podcasts. We just really don't. Again, we're also not fucking, we don't take topics from what's going on in the world, things like that too often. So it's not like we're going to have a lot of stuff to talk outside of the things that we dealt with. That's just not the point of this podcast. So maybe we'll do like a conspiracy theory part of a spinoff or something, but yeah, or we call it like a separate thread of videos. But yeah, we appreciate you guys. Obviously, if you see us in real life, just let us know if there's anything you guys want to hear about, see about, any struggles you're going through. Most of our topics are things that we talk to things we talk about to people on a daily basis, and we pull those and reference those issues and how we have like either gone through them or dealt with them. So
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, I think that's it. Again, just I look forward to seeing who's gonna follow us on this journey.
Yeah. We'll appreciate you guys, and we'll see you in the next episode. Peace.